Welcome to High Performance Pitching, featuring Sarah Pauley, with instruction by Rick Pauley.
Okay, we're going to take a look at one of the big mysteries in fast pitch softball pitching, and that is the core torquing that creates the hip snap in pitching, and what really happens with that hip when it snaps. I've got this video set up here with a 600 frame per second video film that we've shot of Sarah's hip rotation. And you'll notice on the upper left hand corner there's a clock up there. What you need to understand is that clock is calibrated at 30 frames per second. So as I move Sarah through the video here, I'll give you a conversion and show what the true time frame is when we move from the beginning of the rotation, which is the green line, to the red line, which is where you're going to see hip rotation actually stops. Okay, and then the yellow line where the ball actually releases off of her fingertips. So we're going to roll this forward right now, and you can see the clock move as I do that. You can see it's moving, and I'm going to get it up to the red line up here and stop it for a second. And what you're going to see is that right about here, you're not going to see any hip rotation, or you're going to see absolute minimum hip rotation until Sarah's arm travels from where you can see it's at right now until the ball comes off of her fingertips. So it took, from the time she started rotating her hips to this position where they stopped, it took about 0.0517 of a second. In other words, just a little bit over 5/100ths of a second elapsed from beginning of rotation until rotation stopped. Now I'm going to rotate this farther, and we're going to go, you'll see, from the red line to the yellow line, which is actually where the ball is going to be off the fingertips. And you can see the ball's off the fingertips right there. Okay, the duration of time from the red line to the yellow line was actually 0.04 of a second. And you can see the difference in how much the rotation moved or didn't move. So basically, for 0.04 of a second, Sarah's hip rotation stopped, gave her a nice, firm, solid place to, and a consistent place to do her brush contact and do her release. So this is why elite pitchers, can hit location when they're throwing, 65 to 70 miles an hour, and why they can spin the ball and make it move the way they want to while they hit that location. So real key point here is it's hip snap, and you'll notice the hip snap to about 45 degrees and then stopped. Okay, and then I'm going to show you the hip rotation actually reinitiates, and I'll just roll this through right here, and you can see that it's moving, and you can see how the hip rotates through. And you need to understand that this is just a follow-through motion that the hip is performing. It's an unloading process of the muscles from all of the violence of the release action. So that's a pretty key thing here, this hip snap, hip stop. And some kids have a bit of a flaw in that they get rotation, but their rotation goes right through the release zone and never stops. So they do kind of a full circular rotation, or some people call it slamming the door. So we really don't want to encourage that. We want you to hip, snap, stop, and that stopping action really helps with creating a whip. It's kind of like a crack the whip action, and helps with the arm whip and the generation of energy into the fingers. So that's a little wrap up here. I'm going to erase all these lines, and I'm going to move it back and let you see one time in slow motion what really happens when Sarah does her full motion. And you can see that hip stop right there, and we'll let it roll through again. And we'll do it one more time so you can see that. Okay, and that's very, very normal in elite level pitchers. So I hope this helps, and train yourself to get great core torque, hip snap, and make sure you get that stopping action. So from Polygirl Fastpitch, good luck with your pitching.
We hope you've enjoyed this lesson from High Performance Pitching. Please join us again soon to learn more about improving your pitching skills.